History is full with figures who defy easy categorization, and Erwin Rommel? Well, he's near the top of that list. Known as the Desert Fox, Rommel was both respected and feared, admired and condemned. In today's video, we will dive into the life of a man who mastered the art of warfare in North Africa and went from decorated World War I soldier to controversial World War II commander. Erwin Rommel was born in 1891 in Heidenheim, Germany, a small town far removed from the grand theaters of war he'd eventually command. He was a mechanic's son. Rommel wasn't exactly raised to become a military legend, but from his early age he had a reputation for disciplined mind and a bit of a stubborn streak. In World War I, Rommel proved his mettle, particularly in the Battle of Capreto, where his tactical improvisation, mobility and daring tactics earned him Germany's highest award, the Pour le Mérite. Rommel's fame only grew after the war when he published Infantry Attacks, a book still studied in Germany's academies for its lessons in tactical mobility. He was a tactician who believed in getting things done, a quality that will set him apart from the rest, especially in the desert. Rommel's reputation truly took off during World War II in North Africa. Tasked with shoring up Italian forces, he quickly demonstrated his unique style, aggressive, mobile, and almost impossible to predict. This was what he's earned his nickname, the Desert Fox, a title granted not by his allies, but by the British opponents, who found themselves repeatedly outflanked and outfoxed. Rommel's ability to lead them through the terrain and read his enemies and predict their every movements and adapt made him fly like a legend. He was famous from leading from the front lines, often putting himself in risky situations to assess the battlefield personally. A British officer once remarked, "Rommel is the kind of man we could have used on our side, and for good reason." He seemed to embody a traditional sense of military honor and treated captured soldiers with respect. His commitment to the rules of war led him to ignore some of the darker commands issued by Hitler. In his mind, he was a soldier, not a fanatic. But let's be clear, Rommel wasn't a hero or even a good guy. While his action on the battlefield was very impressive, they still served the Nazi command. That reality is inescapable, no matter how much we admire his tactical mind. As we dive deeper in, we see that Rommel's relationship with Hitler and the Nazi regime was far more complex than a simply allegiance. Though Rommel was one of Hitler's favorite generals early on, the two didn't exactly see eye to eye on everything. Rommel wasn't an ideologue. He didn't join the Nazi party, and he didn't carry out racial or political atrocities associated with the regime. In fact, when the tide of war turned against Germany, Rommel openly criticized Hitler's refusal to consider tactical retreats. Their relationship began to strain as Rommel grew vocal about his concern. When Rommel was tasked with defending the Atlantic Wall, he foresaw the impending Allied invasion and recommended heavy defenses on the beaches. But by then, his advice often fell on deaf ears, and the Allied forces reached Normandy. Rommel's doubts about Hitler's leadership only grew. This is where Rommel's story really takes a dramatic turn. By 1944, a group of high-ranking officers had begun to realize Hitler's leadership was dragging Germany towards ruin. Some of them orchestrated the infamous July 20th plot to assassinate him. And Rommel, though not directly involved, was sympathetic. He was aware of the plot and reportedly expressed support for the new government if it meant to end to the war. But the plot failed and Hitler sought revenge. Rommel, one of Germany's most popular generals, was given a brutal choice: take his own life quietly or face a show trial that would likely endanger his family. Rommel chose the former, ending his life on October 14, 1944. His death was officially declared to the public as a result of his injuries sustained in the battle. and he was buried with a full military honor. So where did that leave us with Erwin Rommel? He's a paradox. A man who fought for Germany, but not for Nazism. A tactician who was admired even by his own enemies, and a soldier who ultimately became disillusioned with the regime he himself served. His story is both one of brilliance on the battlefield and the tragedy of it, and reminds us the complexity of war and the figures who fight in them.